Hey, good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? This your boy Rob Thomas Jr. from the Real News Behind the News. Yeah, of course, again, today is March 25th, 2019. It turned out to be a beautiful Monday here in Shreveport, Louisiana, y'all. And what we doing here, we're going to try to start something on a consistent basis. Every morning, we're going to wake up and give y'all the basically we're gonna give you all the headlines of the day every morning we wake up. All right, we're gonna go down the line. We're gonna do our research. We usually up by 5 o'clock in the morning, so we get up and we just search. I mean, dozens of news websites to see what it is the mainstream media is talking about. Now, truth be told, here at the Real News Behind the News, we basically only time we look at the mainstream media is when we looking at what it is that they lying to us about today. Now, I'm kind of like just giving y'all a brief background. Hopefully those people who were on the page today, on our channel today, when we did our first live video today, and maybe some others will come in and join us in this live conversation. But if not, we just gonna go ahead and roll, because again, we don't have a script here at the Real News Behind the News. Hell, we wake up, man, and just go off. But when we go off, it's not like it's just some incoherent Negro just rambling on. What we do, we take again the day's headlines from around the world and put them in proper perspective, because we at the Real News Behind the News, I used to work at a TV station. I understand how propaganda goes. Something that a lot of people don't know here in America. The most important lesson that they learned in World War II was not a military lesson. They learned the art of propaganda from Adolf Hitler. Now, you notice what happened once they came back from World War II. They basically took the news and weaponized it against the American people. When you go back and look at Operation Mockingbird, how the CIA took control of the mainstream media here in America, and they basically put their agents in to spread their propaganda. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all what happens behind the scenes. And this, again, I used to work at a local TV station here in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's the NBC affiliate. And this is what happens every morning. Every morning, the news reporters, when we come in, I used to be in charge of the satellite, so I had to go get all the satellite feeds. But before we did the news, once we get those satellite feeds from NBC directly, they basically told the reporters a storyline as to what needs to be said when it comes to national issues. So by me being on the background, seeing how they manipulate the information that you see and hear, it's my job to come out and, based upon my diligent research on every topic, because in my 48 years of life, I've been all around the world, man. Did a little time in the military, been to 2 or 3 universities, worked off in the Gulf of Mexico, and traveled all across the United States. I've been around, man, and I've seen a lot of things. But the one thing is constant is that on national issues, we're being propagandized to the point where they dictate literally what you hear and see every day. Give you an example. I guarantee you, if you go look at CNN News, Fox News, MSNBC News, if you go ahead and look at all these different stations that say they don't like each other, but listen to the narrative when they're talking about national and international issues. Their script, their storyline is exactly the same. They just have a different person reporting it. What you have is corporate sponsors, your military industrial complex in most cases, and your pharmaceutical companies. They have people sitting in that newsroom making sure that those reporters who are giving you the news say the exact script of what they want you to think. And pay attention. Go to CNN or even on your local news. Watch how many pharmaceutical commercials you see during the course of a 30-minute local news broadcast or an hour-long national news broadcast. And again, when you listen to the national news, flick through the channels and watch how MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, PBS, all these people have the same storyline. So what we do at The Real News Behind the News, again, based upon our research and all our travel, life experiences, reading books instead of just being on Facebook, when we come out and tell you about the headlines, we're trying to get you to think a different way than what is being beamed into your head, literally being programmed. Part of the reason why they call it television programming, even though they're trying to put together a program of entertainment, they're programming the American media. I mean, the American people. To be honest, the American population is the most naive and gullible population on the face of the planet Earth, because we're the only people that literally believes what we see on the TV. You notice that when you go to these other countries that they tell us are socialist or communist or whatever, those people don't trust the media because they know how the media has been weaponized against us. Now, with that being said, what we're going to talk about now is some of the headlines that we talked about earlier. But first and foremost, we're going to start here locally. And again, here in Shreveport, Louisiana, we at The Real News Behind the News and a couple of other grassroots entities are going to try to put the pressure on the Shreveport Police Department, the Caddo Parish Sheriff Department, and the Caddo Parish Coroner's Office to give us a little bit better explanation, more in detailed explanation as to what happened when this young man, I keep forgetting this dude's name, but anyway, February 5th here this year, we had a police officer to shoot an individual. Now, according to one of the three official, so-called official narratives, because they didn't gave us 2 or 3 stories from the Shreveport Police Department as to what happened. But basically what happened is the victim, I forget this guy's name, man, God, I hate that, it was right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, the young man who was murdered, I'm going to call it a murder, by the police, was alleged to have walked out a convenience store. The police officer saw him. He spotted him. They saying that the dude just took off running after he seen the police officer pull up. He see the police officer pull up. He takes off running. Now, first of all, the first initial story within the first 15 minutes of it happening was them telling us that the dude was walking towards the woods. Now, I don't know about any other city in America, but here's Shreveport. Even though it's a metropolis, there's a lot of wooded areas. And to get from one street to the next, a lot of time we cut through the woods. We make our own trails through the woods. You know what I'm saying? So if the dude was going through the woods, most likely he was going through a trail to go home. Because again, you have all these major housing blocks with major housing on it, but there's areas through the woods where, like, if you walking a mile to the store, you can cut through this patch of woods right here and take almost 15 minutes off your trip. So first they say he was walking through towards the woods, and the police officer saw him and got suspicious and went and approached him, and from that point on, it got to where shots were fired. The second story they told us was that the dude was coming out the store. Now keep in mind, if the truth be told, why would there need to be a second story? Because the second story is telling us now that he was coming out the store, he spotted the police. He started walking towards the woods, and the police ran up on the curb in his car and chased the dude. Once the police ran up on the curb, dude started running. So once he started running, now the police is supposed to allegedly jump out of his car. Dude's supposed to turn around and fire at the police, then the police fired back. That's the second story. Now, we ain't gonna go off into the third story, because again, why the hell do we have 2 stories? You see what I'm saying? Nobody's asking that question. What happened to the original story, and then you modified it just enough to make a whole second story? Something ain't right. In reality, what we're understanding now, the coroner is telling us, and the Shreveport Police Department, according to their internal investigation, the same police who shot this young man on February 5th here was basically involved in an altercation downtown Shreveport, where he picked this dude up and slammed it. Now, the city of Shreveport might be facing lawsuit on that, but at the same time, this police officer, was under internal investigation for use of excessive force just 30 days before he murdered this dude. So again, now you're telling us the Caddo Parish coroner is saying that there were 8 shots fired, a total 8 shots fired. According to the Shreveport Police Department, the first shot that was fired came from the victim. Now, the victim was supposed to have fired the first shot. Now, the police report eventually finally says that the police officer saw him flash a weapon. So keep in mind, I'm going to try to act this out. I'm coming out the store. Now, this is according to their last and final official statement. Keep in mind, they already gave a 2 or 3. In the police department, dude coming out the store. He sees the police. All of a sudden, he just takes off and run. He starts running towards the bushes. The police punches the gas in his car, drives up over the curb, and starts chasing this man as he's running to the bushes. Now, he's running to the bushes. The police officer said he seen him flash a gun. Now keep this in mind. If I'm running and I flashed a gun, that means I pointed the gun where the police officer could see it, which would cause that police officer to fire in response if I flash it and fire, which is what they said he did. But let's look at common sense. If I'm running to the woods and I'm running from the police, why the fuck am I gonna pull a gun? All right, if I do pull a gun, now what their Caddo Parish coroner is saying is that the first shot that was fired, which came from the victim, he killed himself. Literally, this is what they're saying. Now, keep in mind, this dude was hit 4 times. Once in the chest fatally. Keep in mind, I've been shot at point blank range. I've been shot at point blank range in my face. I know it hurts. So you're telling me now this dude is running. He pulls out his gun, shoots himself in the chest, but still has enough mental awareness now that he's shot. Because keep in mind, they say he only fired 1 time. He shot himself in the chest, but he turns and points his gun at the police officer, and the police officer proceeds to shoot 7 times and hit him 3. Now, it's not adding up. And if the people of Shreveport allow this to happen without even questioning it, then I question the people of Shreveport. Your dedication to hands up, don't shoot, Black Lives Matter. Because me, myself, I believe all that's a bunch of propaganda in itself. Hands up, don't shoot, Black Lives Matter is a bunch of propaganda that's designed, really, I'm going to just keep it real. Really, Black Lives Matter has become corrupted to the point where it's more so worried about pushing a homosexual agenda. Y'all might wonder how I stretch Black Lives Matter to the homosexual agenda. Just pay attention to what they got going on. Look at who they have leading that organization, and look what they're really about. Them folks don't give a damn about black folk, like talking about it. If they really, Black lives really matter to them, they have been in some of these black neighborhoods stopping Negroes from shooting each other. So again, on that situation, what we're experiencing here in Shreveport is flat out lie by the Shreveport Police Department in conjunction with the Caddo Parish Sheriff Department, in conjunction with the Caddo Parish Coroner Department. They're going to have to answer. They're going to have to give an answer. And if they don't come with the right answer, if we don't get the truth, Shreveport going to be on fire, y'all. I mean, I'm talking about physically, but we're going to be down at the city council. We're going to disrupt all their political business. We're going to disrupt every city council meeting. We're going to disrupt the news, because we already just did a news interview with Shreveport Times here. They interviewed myself as suppose what I think about the situation, and I told them it's flat out bullshit. Now, it's getting dark out here where I'm at, y'all. Right now, this is my temporary studio. Let me see if I can get a better angle, get a little bit more light. But again, that's what's happening here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, nationally, and again, we want to talk about this thing with Robert Mueller and Donald Trump, and get you all to understand that even that is a distraction and a game. Because if Mueller wanted to investigate any real wrongdoing, he would have investigated Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton also into their role as to pushing up a false narrative that Trump was colluding with the Russians. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to say this to you Democrats. Y'all in trouble. if the only platform that you got over the last 2 years was hate Donald Trump because he colluded with the Russians and stole an election from a woman who couldn't really even beat Hillary Clinton, man, couldn't even beat a high school senior in a student body election, presidential race. And the Democrats allowed this woman to steal they helped her steal the nomination from Bernie Sanders, who was the only one in that whole election process in 2016 that could have beat Trump. Hillary was able to manipulate, like her and her slick ass husband always do, able to manipulate the system, and she lost. And in order to guarantee herself from losing, she had help from Obama. They actually put wiretaps because they went back behind the scenes through the FISA court, created that fake dossier where they said Donald Trump was over there in Russia letting women pee on him and having rough, freaky sex. And what happened, they created that fake warrant, the Steele dossier. If you're not familiar with it, go ahead and research that. You'll understand that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton lied on Donald Trump, saying that he was over there colluding with the Russians, and they got that warrant, which allowed them to be able to tap Trump Towers and follow his people. That's why Manafort and all them went down. But notice, even Mueller had to come out and say there was no collusion. There was no collusion. We really can't find one, but we just wasted 2 years and tens of millions of dollars of the people money to tell the people something that I told them from Jump Street. There's no collusion on Trump's behalf with Russia, but all the collusion was with Israel. We talked about that earlier today. Go back and listen at that video. We just going to run through this here a little bit faster in our recap, and unless somebody, have a comment, we just going to go and wind it up. Now, again, let's keep in mind, Mueller found no collusion with Russia, but there are criminal charges that Trump's facing due to his connections to the mob and his business and real estate dealings over the years. Trump, was basically fronted by the mob. And then he has one person in particular who seems to front him all the money and seems like he's really trying to impress the most. If I asked y'all, say, right now, who is Donald Trump trying to impress the most out of everybody on the face of the earth? I guarantee you 99% of the people will get it wrong because 99% of the people don't know who Sheldon Adelson is. Sheldon Adelson is a billionaire Jew who had bailed Donald Trump out on plenty of bad loans and plenty of bad business dealings over the last 20, 30 years, to the tune where Donald Trump is so far in debt to this man that he really does not have a choice but to do what Sheldon Adelson wants. You see what I'm saying? Now, Adelson got this man here committing all kind of international crimes, even to the point where something else we're going to talk about in a little bit. If I don't lose track, we're going to talk about how the United States just dropped out of the ICC. Well, let's go ahead and talk about that now because that's important. We get back to Trump. Now, over the last 2 weeks, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, has basically been told by Mike Pompeo, Donald Trump, John Bolton, that you cannot investigate anybody that's an American citizen overseas for any war crimes that they may have committed. Let that sink in. They basically told these people, if you try to come to the United States to investigate one of our soldiers, one of our generals, one of our politicians about their part in contributing to war crimes overseas, we're going to arrest you. We're going to take your passport. Man, that's straight up, I'm talking about cuz, that's straight up thuggery right there. The United States has been committing war crimes literally for the last 28 years. I'm going to say, you know what I say, 28 years? Everybody talking about Afghanistan is the longest war that America has ever been in. No, first of all, the Korean War, because technically we've never ended that war. They signed a truce. But the Korean War is technically the longest war that we've been in. The second longest war, bing, 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 Somalia. Nobody's saying nothing about what these folk been doing down there in Somalia for the last 28 years. Now it's starting to come out. These folks have committed thousands of war crimes just in Somalia, hundreds of war crimes in Afghanistan, Yemen, Iraq, Libya. Now they're committing war crimes in Yugoslavia, where they was committing war crimes in Yugoslavia. All these places that the United States in Syria, Lebanon, everywhere that they go, they create nothing but death, destruction, chaos. And they commit war crimes, which is one of the reasons, again, why your soldiers here in America, coming back, returning veterans, have the highest suicide rate in America. You know why they killing themselves? Because they done went over there and killed all these innocent people, man. They done went over there and committed all these war crimes, slaughtering these children. Think about this. Just in Yemen in the last 5 years, they done killed 80,000 children. You got 10 million people that the United States through Saudi Arabia is starving to death. You got 10 million people literally on the verge of starvation right now. Whereas if they kept up this nonsense they got going on in Yemen, in the next year and a half, 10 million people will die. Because we got economic blockades and sanctions on that country. Hold on, let me see if I get a little more light in here for y'all real quick. I can't get no more light. And matter of fact, let me take this show to the second part. Y'all give me a second. If y'all got any comments, man, come in. But let me show y'all what's really going on. In Yemen, these folks literally in the last 4 years. Hey, Miss Sexton, how you doing? How you doing? Good to hear from you. Good to hear from you. We just going down a daily recap of today's news cycle, telling our point of view on how these things actually go. Right now, we're talking about the United States committing war crimes. It's getting dark here in Shreveport, so I gotta come inside. Cut that TV down, son. Y'all excuse me, this is the real news behind the news. We the ghetto version of the news. This is our studio. This is our studio, my house. So right now, we're gonna sit back and keep going. But right here, this part 2 of the studio. But we want to talk about what they've been doing in Yemen, what they've been doing in Syria, what they've been doing in Iran, Iraq, Libya, Lebanon. Everywhere they go, they're committing war crimes, to the point where Mike Pompeo had to come up last week and tell the international community and the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court, you cannot investigate us for war crimes. And if you try to investigate us for war crimes and you come to America to do it, we're going to lock you up. We're going to arrest you for investigating our criminal activity around the world. Basically, is what your government just told the International Criminal Court. Basically, your government is the sole sponsor of terrorism around the world, but they would have you to believe that ISIS is the biggest culprit of terrorism. Well, let me ask you a question. How many ISIS members you've seen in America just in the last year and a half commit all these mass shootings? No, it's been white boys. Ain't no ISIS, white boys. To be honest, I'm more scared of the police than I am ISIS. You see what I'm saying? But we're over there using ISIS as a means to go over and take these folks' shit. When we go over there and take their oil, their gold, their diamonds, their silver, their platinum, their copper, their zinc, their uranium. When we go over there, it's a war on humanity. Actually, that's what it is. You have that 1%, Miss Sexton, who believes that they are entitled to rule the rest of us 99% because they own all the money. They own all the natural resources, which again goes back to what I'm saying. This 1% is able to manipulate our United States politicians to use our military to go to other people's country and take their shit. When we go over there and take their stuff, our soldiers are over there committing war crimes, which in a sense, they come back to America, can't deal with it, which leads to us having veterans as the highest number of people committing suicide because these folks have committed all these war crimes and they can't deal with it. Show you how they go. Let me put this in biblical terms. Whether you believe the Bible or not, I believe in the Creator, but I do study the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. I study all religious texts. But let me show you how to go. The ancient Israelites. We had somebody earlier talking about the Hebrews and Israelites. We're going to use the Israelites as an example. Do you know in the Old Testament, whenever the armies of Israel went out to fight a war, they would go out and fight that war? Because I'm going to be real, the God of the Bible was probably the most violent entity that you'll ever hear about. He was always wanting something or somebody to die so that he could be pleased. So he'll tell his armies of the Israelites to go down there and I want you to utterly destroy everything that has breath in its body. Basically committing war crimes. Because innocent children didn't have nothing to do with what their parents did. So they go down there and commit all these war crimes. Now keep in mind, it's ancient Israel of your Bible. But when they got through slaughtering and raping and robbing all these nations that they conquered, what's the first thing they had to do before they could even set foot back in Israel? They had to sit outside the camps of Israel for a whole year to deal with the psychological bullshit that they had just went through, all that slaughter. So now again, you have all these soldiers coming back from these illegal wars that are illegal in the first place. And then they committed all these war crimes to the point, again, where just last week, your federal government told the rest of the world, we don't give a damn what our soldiers or what our personnel did overseas. You cannot charge them with war crimes. This is what they literally told the rest of the world. So now you got these cats coming back and committed all these war crimes. The ones that ain't killing themselves, you see them running around the street, homeless veterans. They done lost their mind because they got them so psyched up because of that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, after killing all these people that they got to keep them heavily medicated. And the ones who was over there enjoying killing these folks, guess what they at? Bing, 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 on your police departments here in America. So this is what's going down. They're using these people, man, to go over there and take other people's shit. It's messing with their head. They coming back, committing all these crimes, for committing all these war crimes. They come back and can't deal with society. And this is why you have military men and police officers as the highest people, as the highest suicide rate and on antidepressants. At the same time, they telling me and you that we need to worry about ISIS way overseas. Why the hell will I worry about some people who don't even have electricity coming way over here to bomb my house? Why am I worried about some people who barely can get running water in their community coming way over here to America, bombing my house? But I have seen in the last 5-6 months and years, a whole bunch of white boys here in America got a lot of guns and they terrorizing everything. So the real terrorists are here. I'm more scared of the police than I am ISIS, y'all. So why are they using it? Again, let's go back. Today, last week, I think it was over the weekend, Donald Trump, and he solidified it today when Netanyahu was down at the White House. Donald Trump basically just said, fuck Syria. We're going to give y'all their land, Israel. We're going to give y'all the Golden Heights. Golden Heights. When every nation on the planet outside of the United States, maybe a couple of Western European countries like maybe Britain or whatever, but even France and all the rest of them is asking Donald Trump, what the hell are you doing? Because as you noticed, a couple while back, he gave Israel Jerusalem as a capital, as if he had the power to do that. Then he turned around now and said he's giving the Golan Heights to Israel as a present to Netanyahu. And basically what it is, he's trying to help Netanyahu win this election coming up. So basically what you have is a government that's built upon lies, manipulation, and propaganda, which brings us back to me and what we talked about in the beginning. We at the Real News Behind the News believe that the government job is to fuck you. We are the condom. Sorry about that, Spongely. We are the condom that keeps you from getting pregnant by their lies and propaganda. I don't care what anyone says. Mark on my words, there will be a string of brand new serial killers and sex crime. Oh, I'm going to show you how deep the sex crime thing getting. Now, everybody want to talk about R. Kelly. Had sex with all these young girls, which if he did, he did. I did see what he pee-peed on that little girl. He kind of nasty, but I still like R. Kelly music. I'm able to separate the man and the music. But let me show y'all something. First of all, you had the gay community. The gay community for so long was stigmatized and it was so taboo that they said that they was hiding in the closet. Okay, during the 70s, 60s, and 70s, the gay people came out the closet. Now they standing on the front porch. So now you get the gays and the lesbian people joining. So now you get the LG, the lesbian and gay community. Now you get the LGB, the lesbian, gay, and bisexual community. After you say, well, all that shit is deviant, and not judging nobody. I don't want to offend nobody, but this is just my point of view. No offense, but I just keep it real. So now you got the lesbian, the gay, and the bi. So now lately you add the transgender community. Now let me show y'all something. Those four groups, black people, keep in mind, that shit is not natural to us. That's something that's been taught and inbred into us. That shit ain't natural to us, man. That's why they have to indoctrinate your kids through this public school system to accept that bullshit and tell you that if you don't let us teach this to your kid, we're going to send you to jail as parent. You start with good. Yeah, they start, ain't nothing good about two men laying up talking about I love you, Bobby. I love you too, Larry. Ain't nothing good about that shit, no matter how it starts out. I'm just keeping it real. Again, no offense to you LGBTQ and soon to be P. So let me back to it. First you had the lesbian and the gays. Now you put the bisexuals in there. Now you put the transvestites in there, the T. It's LGB. Damn, there's so many alphabets I forget. Damn, they gonna have to make up a whole nother set of alphabets. But this what it is. The lesbian, the gays, the bi, and the trannies. Now they got another one called a queer. LGBTQ. But this is what they finna do. Let me show y'all how easy it is. What's up from Denison, Texas? What's up, Denison? Keep up the good content. Would you donate to... yes, sir. I'll put the information up later on where you all can donate to the channel so we can actually get out my truck and my bedroom and make up a studio. But let me go back to this point before I get it. Now you got the LG, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transvestite, queer community, but they finna add a P to it. Now, people sitting around here talking about R. Kelly and all these other pedophiles, but they not mentioning people like Harvey Weinstein really finna beat his case, but they not talking about Jeffrey Epstein at all. But they finna add another alphabet to that, the pedophilia community. Because around the world, let me show you how easy, y'all, it is to make pedophilia acceptable. You don't have to force people to say, well, your 15-year-old daughter can screw this 37-year-old man. All you have to do is lower the age of consent. It's really that simple. If you go back and pass legislation saying now that legally a 12-year-old can make the decision that he or she wants to be involved with a 50-some-year-old, if they drop the age of consent law, that takes the thing all the way out the parents' hands. The parents have no more say-so in what that 12-year-old child does. And guess what? They're doing it all across the rest of the world. And again, it's coming to America. They're preparing y'all and desensitizing the American public with people like R. Kelly and all these other people that's victims of the Me Too movement. Because again, a lot of these people in that Me Too movement was nothing more than a part of a system. Now again, I would like to address you all's comments, but here, since we're doing this on an Android phone, your comments appear and then they disappear, and it's hard for me to pull them back up. Okay, I see. Let me ask. Look if Larry loves Gray, then let them be. Look, if Larry loves Gary, then let them be. Hey, Larry and Gary can do whatever they want. I don't want Larry and Gary telling me I got to teach my son that what they like, what they do. I'm not going to judge Larry and Gary. You know what I'm saying? Hey, they grown men. But I'll be damned if Larry and Gary force their agenda on my son Zante. You know what I'm saying? I'm raising him to be a man. And again, not judging them, I'll raise him to respect their decision, but they have to respect his decision to be heterosexual and to like women. So Larry and Gary can buy all the Vaseline and KY jelly they want, and you can put all Larry and Jerry and all their friends on an island and just let them have a freak fest. But again, don't force me and my family to have to have to bow down to Larry and Jerry when Larry and Jerry is really a minority that got more rights than black people. We ought to be offended. Barack Obama, I think he would he had to be, because he gave those people more rights and more freedom than black in 8 years. They got more laws and legislation passed for them than black folks have even thought about in the last 400 years, man. Them folk coming up now using the civil rights struggle that our people fought for after going through slavery, sharecropping, Jim Crow, And now the private prison industry, these folk that came up and man got way more rights than we ever had. And we still fighting. But guess what? Let one of them cops shoot a transvestite. He could be a black transvestite. Let one of them cops shoot an unarmed black transvestite and watch how the LGBTQ community come along, and I bet you that cop he face some charges. But your black sons and daughters who just happen to be straight heterosexual, they walk around and get shot down by the police, and all we say is hands up, don't shoot. No legislation has been passed to keep these law enforcement agencies held accountable. But hey, y'all, that's pretty much part of the wrap up. And again, this is what, our third or fourth YouTube video live. And we getting it down a little bit. We starting to learn what button is what, which we press to do this. We learning how now, I'm just now learning out of all this, how to pull up you all's comments. So I'll be able to go back, like when Miss Sexy say, I totally understand. I don't want that either. I'm able to now go back and look at you all's comments. And again, y'all keep them comments coming. Yeah, but most important, I need y'all to share this channel, man. Again, we probably be one of the least popular channels on YouTube in the black community because we try to bring education, information, and knowledge. We not here to just be one of them shucking and jiving ass Negroes that, yes sir. Today we gonna talk about R. Kelly. We gonna talk about Michael Jackson and the little kids he molested. No, we ain't finna come now. We ain't finna talk about too much in sports, music, unless it's real relevant to a topic that we know that really affects us. We let other people entertain you. If you want to get information, knowledge, and wisdom from politics to religion on down to just day-to-day economics, we're going to do our best to bring you the truth and the real news behind this fake news that the mainstream media is putting out there. We want to bring you quality content. We might not do a video for 2 days, but that means we don't have nothing really relevant to talk about, and we're not just trying to get on YouTube to get views and likes. If we want to do that, man, I could do that out here in my neighborhood, just going to speak on speaking engagements. I could have been at the city council meeting today and spoke in front of hundreds of people if I just wanted to get seen. No, we come to YouTube to bring you the real news behind this fake news that the mainstream media is putting out there, brainwashing us with a globalist agenda that does not have you, me, whites, blacks, Mexicans, Orientals. The globalists don't care about none of us. They don't care about our color. All they care about is green. And to them, I'm going to be real, all us are niggas. Yeah, good. Yes, ma'am. Somebody else just said, the fake news says multiculturalism doesn't work. It does, and racism is man. Of course, racism is man-made. And multiculturalism can work if it's not indoctrinated into the people. If people open their hearts up and come to love their creator as themselves, then we all can live as one big happy family because there's only one race, the human race. We just got different color shades and ideas and opinions, but there's only one race, and that's the human race. So we all multicultural. It's just that 1% who look at us all as niggas. I'm real. There's some new niggas around right now in America. It's called the Mexicans because they finna replace black folk. But that's the whole. Matter of fact, that's gonna be the show we talk about in the morning. How black people, if anybody, should be against illegal immigration. Now keep in mind, I'm gonna say illegal immigration because it's those who are illegally coming here that's displacing black people for us at home and job. I'm gonna explain that to y'all because a lot of black people, white people, don't want to catch on to it. But guess what? Cheap labor is a move. Why would I hire 4 Negroes and 3 white people and have to pay them $180,000 a year combined to work in my job when I can hire 5 of these people here and barely pay them $30,000 together combined a year? Better pay attention to what's really going on. But hey, we finna sign off. I gotta get my son ready, finish up his hair, finish up cleaning up around the house. But again, we practicing, we getting better and better. Our content gonna always stay the same, bringing you the real news behind this news that these folk just giving you, man. Hoping that you just believe that without even questioning it. But we gonna make you ask questions. One thing we can guarantee, that you keep listening to the real news behind the news, you'll never look at your television the same again. So till y'all hear me on the radio, hear me on the radio tomorrow or see me on another one of these videos, this your boy Rod Thomas Jr.